Hello, everyone. So, I want to talk about last year's draft class because I feel like a lot of cowboy content creators, I just feel like a lot of them, they they kind of feel like we dropped the ball on last year's draft class, basically. And I just want to say me personally, I think this draft class was actually pretty good. And I'm going to tell you why this draft class was pretty good by the Cowboys. Let's just go through each of these guys one by one and explain everything that has happened and why they haven't flourished or blossomed the way we would have wanted them to. Let's start off with Mozzie Smith. Mozzie Smith. The thing about Mozzie Smith is coming out of college when he was in fresh out of being drafted. Mozzie Smith was about 330 some. He was 330 some. Maybe not quite 330 some. Maybe I'm giving him a little too much credit. Maybe 300 and some, or somewhere in the 310s. But he was a big boy, of course, being a defensive tackle that was a anchor on that Michigan defense, especially their run defense. And he said in his first interview that they drafted me to stop the run. And look, there's no question that us in the playoffs, we've had two major concerns, and that's running the ball and stopping the run. And of course, Jerry Jones himself even pointed it out, noticing the issues, saying that if stop running the ball, if having trouble running the ball or stopping the run, then we have a major culture problem. He said it something like that. My apologies for, like if I'm saying it wrong, but yeah, so granted, I don't know if that was truly completely what we drafted him for. Like you still got to get a push up the middle, against quarterbacks at least a little bit. You don't got to be a pass rusher, but at least keep the quarterback contained in the pocket by getting a push up the middle. So, and Mike Zimmer will of course, he'll let him know about that. He'll coach him up on that. The fact of the matter is that you saw Mozzie Smith, and he definitely looks like he dropped some weight during the off season. He dropped down to like 270 something. That's ridiculous. A guy who was big, strong, size and stuff, like should not have to lose that much weight, especially knowing what his job and main responsibility is, being a defensive tackle. So the fact of the matter is, Mozzie's issue was a weight issue, if you ask me. Same thing you could say about them sorry Eagles with Jordan Davis. Only his problem is he's overweight. Mozzie's underweight. The fact of the matter is, so that's Mozzie's problem. Let's talk about Luke Schoonmaker. Luke Schoonmaker, he got injured, tore something or strained something during the first week or two of training camp. And basically his training camp, preseason, and everything was done. And so when he was healthy enough to get back on the field again, He was almost kind of like learning the roots and stuff like that and techniques again. So he was a little unprepared in his rookie season just based off the fact that he got hurt so early. So I think, like Luke Schoonmaker has potential, but of course he could just very well just be another one of the second round draft picks that we've missed on. In the third round, we drafted DeMarvion Overshone. And as I forget his name, I forget his name, but you know, about him, on like the draft and ESPN and stuff like that. He said he is a heap seeking missile. And boy, from what I saw from him in the preseason, and don't get it twisted, he wasn't just he. It's not like he was just doing this against a bunch of other scrubs. All right, like no. When we played Jacksonville, when we played Seattle, they were playing their starters in the first quarter. And I saw DeMarvion Overshone was tearing it up. He was everywhere. And unfortunately, it was just short-lived because he tore his ACL. So, the thing is, he tore it early, so early that I think he'll probably be good to go for training camp and preseason. Like I recommend putting him out there during the preseason, play the first and second quarter and stuff like that against the starters. Get him in get him in, loosely a little bit and see how he looks and then take him out, and let him rest. But yeah, so it was a small sample size with DeMarvion Overshone, but you can clearly see his talents and that he could definitely be a really good linebacker for us. Up next, you have Viliami Fehoko Jr. out of San Jose State, the defensive end. Like this is where we're gonna start getting to the part of the draft where we were basically just getting guys for depth purposes. So Viliami Fehoko was absolutely he was supposed to be for depth purposes only. I don't think anybody truly expected him to really go off last season and become a difference maker because he was probably like third, fourth string on our depth chart as far as defensive ends. I mean, when you got Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler Jr., Micah, of course, even D-Law. I mean, to that's a lot to have to, deal with. So I think it was a long shot that he was going to be able to play above those guys and get much of any playing time. So he was for depth purposes, but of course, losing Dorrance Armstrong and Dante Fowler Jr., I think he might get a lot more playing time because, make no mistake about it, our defensive line rotation just got a little thin after losing Dorrance and Dante. So Viliami Fehoko is definitely going to have to step up and be that guy to be able to take over for us possibly. And then Asim Richards. I don't know about Asim Richards yet. Of course, again, he was a depth guy. I'm not sure about Asim Richards if he's going to be the replacement. Like, I want him to. Like, if the Cowboys are okay with keeping Tyler Smith at guard, let this guy, Asim Richards out of North Carolina, let him be the replacement, because I saw him during the preseason and he probably gave up one or two QB pressures the entire preseason. The kid's got technique, and he's got real potential. I have confidence in the guy, and I absolutely would sign on. You know, I would absolutely sign on as far as letting Asim Richards be the offensive tackle. But he was, again, for depth purposes last year as a rookie. And then Eric Scott Jr. Really, the only thing we know about him currently right now is his closing speed is incredible. Again, he was another depth guy. And not sure. I'm pretty sure with Trayvon Diggs' injury, and also even at times Gilmore even got a little nicked up. He got a little bit of some time being on the field, but I never really saw him and saw exactly how he did. So it's hard for me to evaluate Eric Scott Jr. I also didn't see him very much during the preseason either. Deuce Vaughn out of Kansas State. What a story for Deuce Vaughn. I mean, his dad is a part of the scout team, and now he's got the opportunity to, go to work with his dad. I mean, it's pretty awesome. But the kid, he's got talent. We saw him during the preseason. He was very exciting. Now, as far as his regular season production, a lot of the times they had him coming in during mop-up duty when we were blowing a team out. And we not only was he a backup out there, of course, we had our backup offensive line out there too. And unfortunately, having him go up against a whole backup offensive line, running behind a whole backup offensive line, they just weren't really opening up the holes and creases and stuff like that for him to really get going. And I feel like that was really the biggest thing for Deuce Vaughn. If he's out there with the starting offensive line, I think he would have been producing. I mean, you saw him when he was out there with the starters, he was producing. I mean, he had a nice solid run against the Jets and a nice grab in that same game. But other than that, he didn't get very much playing time with the first team. And then Jalen Brooks. He actually got a lot more playing time than I expected. And he did all right. Make no mistake about it, he's probably going to be our fourth, fifth string. He's barely going to make the roster again, probably. And when you got guys like Jalen Brooks, Jalen Tolbert, and of course CD Lamb that are above, it's going to be hard for him to get on the field. But I definitely think it's going to be a lot more difficult for him, a lot more easier for him now that Michael Gallup is out of the picture. So I feel like a few of these guys on this 2023 draft class is definitely going to have to step up this year, because we lost some guys, rotational guys, so that made our depth a little thinner. So these guys are definitely going to have to step up. I'm definitely expecting a big step by Mozzie Smith compared to his rookie year, where he was kind of not that good. And then for Overshown, as long as he can rebound and get back to his level of play that he did before the ACL, I think he will have a very good season. I think he's going to be a starter day one. All right. He is going to be a starter day one. No question about it. Luke Schoonmaker, I mean, he just has to stay healthy. Viliami Fehoko Jr. is going to be a part of our rotation on our D line. So expect some, you know, positives from him. I like to see what the kids got. Awesome Richards, again, question mark on him because I don't know if they're going to make him the starter, if they're going to just slide Tyler Smith over to tackle. And then Eric Scott Jr. is just once again going to be a part of our cornerback depth because we're pretty deep at corner. And then Deuce Vaughn, I feel like Mike McCarthy just has to figure out how to use him better. Implement him more into the first team offense a bit more. And then Jalen Brooks, I mean, no comment on Jalen Brooks. He's just trying to make the team. And I think he is okay, solid. But as far as all these picks in the 2023 draft, for the most part, I have the utmost confidence in most of them. So I mean, for me personally, I think that the 2023 draft class, it's hard to evaluate it and criticize it so quick because these guys barely ever really got a chance to really get on the field outside of Mozzie and kind of Luke Schoonmaker. So yeah, to close out, that's pretty much what my point of view and my perspective on the 2023 draft class. They just haven't really had a chance to really hit the ground running yet. So, with that, this is Mr. Cowboys fan out.